Yeah. What's good? This be the G Shaw Cypher. You officially tuned in to On the Grind Live, where we support anybody out there grinding in any capacity, any situation. You pretty much, when you see me, you see dope people. Anything else is uncivilized. I'm gonna repeat myself. When you see me, you see dope people. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that's been really supporting us and really making sure um that they tune in on a daily basis. But listen, man, enough talking about the On the Grind Live. We here to talk about the homie we here right now with. You know what I mean? Shout out to the homie Vayreni. What's going
Yo,
on?
nothing much, man.
Yeah. For all the people, we are now live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Shout out to the people that's tuning in. I see you. I appreciate you. And all that good stuff, man. Listen, not too long ago, we was on Power 107.6 The Truth, Jacksonville, Florida. You know what I mean? Talking about what you got going on and things like that. I want to kind of go back to that. You know what I'm saying? I want to
Yes,
go back
sir.
to that conversation and just correct me if I'm wrong or anything. So, um, you got an album. I think you
Yes, sir.
released the album December 30th, right?
Yes,
Um,
sir. Gray area.
Great
Got it up
area.
back
I
here.
see it in the background. Look at that promo. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I see it in the
sir.
background. Yo, talk to me about that, man. Like, really break that down. How many tracks is on there? What's the concept behind the whole album? Like, what's the story behind that?
All right. So there's 12 tracks on the album. There was four that were out previously from earlier last year.
Right.
Um, it's kind of the way I describe it is kind of like a big fuck you to the industry.
Yeah.
Like it's
I'm with
really
that.
It's really, like, playing into tropes and, like, kinda poking fun at them a little bit, like, kinda
Right.
some trends you see in the, like, modern era hip hop music, R&B, whatever you really wanna label it as. It's kinda poking fun at a lot of that.
Right.
I kinda just put all of myself into it really,
Right.
like, it's kinda like, cause music is kinda like therapy to me, so it's like I'm venting, so I'm either gonna be, like, angry, emotional, or just like talking shit, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's kinda a lot of what this album has really been. It's kind of a culmination of all that. There's a lot of different honestly, I'm really proud of how it turned out because there's a lot of
Mm.
different sounds on there
Yeah.
and a lot of different like cadences and flows. And I tried to cut back on the singing a little bit, but I sprinkled just a little bit in there.
You sprinkled a little bit in there.
Just
Okay,
a little
so
bit.
now that it's out, you know what I'm saying? It's still fresh, right? Like December 30th, like I said, I think is when you dropped it, right? So
Yes, sir.
today's
About
the
two
10th.
weeks.
You know what I'm saying? So what's the reaction on it so far? What are the people telling you that's had a chance to listen to it?
I mean, people have been telling me it's great. Um, People that listen to it has been, giving me big props on it. I
Right,
see the numbers. I'm kind of seeing what people are feeling and kind of what they're not.
right.
Um, Personally, for me, I'm really glad with how it turned out. I think it
Yeah,
turned out great.
yeah,
It's one of my best projects in a while,
right.
and I think so far the reaction has been pretty well received.
How many tracks is on it again? Throw that to tell me
12.
12 tracks. Um, break down like the process of creating that though. Like, did you just go straight to making 12 and then say, yo, this is the ones this is it? Or did you have a bunch of tracks and you had to really decide that which tracks fit gray area?
So my last album that I released in 2022 called Premonition had 18 songs on there. And I was like, all right, I kind of, based off how that album was received, I was kind of like, all right, maybe 18 is a little too much.
Right,
So I dropped a mixtape 2023 in October, and that had 9 tracks on it. And so I was like, all right, I don't want to do a mixtape again. I want to do an album, something cohesive, you know what I mean? Something that kind
right,
of blends together a little bit. So I was like, 18 was too much. 9 is kind of mixtape numbers. I kind of just thought 12 was a good middle ground. And it's kind of funny because it honestly didn't even like I didn't even plan it this way, but it's kind of like the first half of the album are like the earlier songs, and the second half of the album are like the later songs. So like
Yeah,
for me personally, it's like it only goes up when you listen to it. The more you listen to it, it gets better because
right,
it's
right,
it's like it's like that, like, oh, like, right it's like right after track 6 is because the one that, I've decided to quit rapping serial and become a serial killer is,
right,
track 7, so it
right.
kinda, like, set the it's like, it's almost like that first half of the album is kinda, like, setting the tone, and then it's like, bam! It
Yeah,
hits you.
right, right, right. Um, you mentioned growing up in a specific county. What's the name of the county that you grew up in? I want to make sure I got it right.
That's, Currituck County, North Carolina.
Currituck
So,
County. So that influenced your desire to see more of the world, right? Because it's a small county, things like that. So how does your hometown continue to influence your music today? Now that you've been able to move around, like how do you feel about that?
that's a good question. Honestly, since moving I've been out of North Carolina for about a year now.
Yeah,
It's a lot different. It makes me like appreciate some of the things I don't got here that I have back home, but at the same time, it's like, well, damn, all this stuff out here that they ain't got back home. It's kind of like you gotta weigh the scales a little bit, you know.
right, right,
And I say like really the way it still influences me is that even when I'm like not even there, I can still kind of learn from it and learn from
right.
the experiences that I went through while I was living there.
No, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? And I talk to artists all the time from different cities and from different locations and things like that. And a lot of artists are really from from small areas, right? And they just really trying to put their best foot forward, you know what I'm saying, and really represent their city. And they noticed they had to really go out of their city in order to rep for their city. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like you
Yeah,
had to
for
do that?
sure.
Like obviously you've been out in North Carolina for a year, so what has that year taught you in that time frame? You know what I'm saying? What has
Yeah.
that year taught you since you transitioned out of there?
Well, for one, it kind of showed me who my real friends were, like the people that kept in contact with me, like even after moving away. Um, it's kind of like I guess another thing I could probably draw from it is like different people are different based on what region they're from. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right,
Like there's certain things like even it's something as simple as like, oh, you gotta knock some snow off your car. That happens every day up here. But
right,
like
right.
back home, you get snowed in, you ain't going nowhere. So you don't gotta worry about getting them snow off your windows.
Right, 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 right. I ain't gonna lie. Listen, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm used to having to knock the snow off. But now that I'm in Florida, if it's snow out here, it's a wrap. Right? Ain't nobody going
Yeah.
outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's cold out here for Florida. You know what I'm saying? 30, 40 degrees, things like that. That's cold for Florida. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we experiencing now. But let it be like 15 degrees and start raining ice. Like everything's gonna shut down. Nobody has knows how to drive out here in that type of weather. But if you go up north, you know what I'm saying? They're like, what? 15 degrees. Let's pull out the boots, the Tims, and knock that ice off. We still gotta work. We still gotta make things happen.
Right,
So
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? So you get, you get to see that environment, and now you got to learn how to adjust to it. You know what I'm saying? Um, when we talked last time, I think you mentioned that you partnered or collaborated with Osiris Productions, and I'm saying that right.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so
It's my
can you
dog.
elaborate a little bit more on that collaboration? Like, what makes your creative partnership work so well?
Honestly, like we kind of we kind of started the shit together. Like he's a year older than me, and he been producing since he was like 12 years old, and we met like freshman year of high school,
Right,
and it started by because I had a laptop and I had Pro Tools on it, but I didn't have no like sample library or nothing, and this was like my first like shot in the dark at really trying to put something together like that,
Right.
like using all the like Fruity Loops and like Logic, all that type of shit. And I was like, man, I can't really figure this shit out. And
Right.
then I overheard him at lunch one day, motherfucker sitting at the lunch table talking about, yo, I got a pirated version of Fruity Loops on this flash drive. You want it? And then so he gave me the Fruity Loops on my shit on my laptop. I took it home that day, set it down, and was like, I still don't know how to do this shit, man. So
I feel you.
so I hit him up and was like, yo, you want to just like make beats and I can rap on them, or you can rap on them too, or whatever happens, happens. And like ever since then, we just been cooking shit up,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like that like that brother bond type shit. You know what
Right.
I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
we just been at it so long. Like he knows what I like. He knows what I expect, and it's like the same
Right.
kind of deal, vice versa.
Right. Shout out to the artist producer, partnerships and collaborations. I think right now at this time, it's right. Really, it's been. I mean, people been doing this for a long time anyway, but right now I'm seeing a lot of producer artists collabs happening. Right. You know what I mean? Especially in the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Like Snoop Dogg and Dre are back at it. You know what I'm saying? Metro Boomin and Future back at it. You know what I'm saying?
I remember there was
Ostensibly,
a time there
right.
was a time where none of the producers would get credited on the song. Like
Right.
if you really go and look at the credits of the song, like you're gonna find it. But it's like I guess it's something small, just like featuring da 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 da. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean? But
right.
still, they
They
ain't
ain't
even
getting that
used to get that.
publishing. They ain't getting that credit. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you know what I mean, the album you could be featured on it. You know what I mean? It could be like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, you know what I'm saying, album, but Dre didn't say one word on the album. He just produced every track.
Right.
But you know what I mean, he's going to get that, you know what I'm saying? So, that's the difference now versus before. Um we going to talk about something a little bit more serious that we talked about last time you brought up back in 2018. This is a specific car crash that you talked about. You know what I'm saying? Which was really a pivotal moment for you. You know what I'm saying? Car crashes, when you think of car crashes, you think of like tragedies, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's not always the case, right? Like knock on wood, right? Because there's people out there that walk right out that shit, and there's people who have, you know what I mean, who that's the last day for them, you know what I'm saying? But for you, it was a pivotal moment. So how has that experience continued to shape your music and lyrics over the past few years?
Well, honestly, it's played a big role because not only was that like really the kind of catalyst that kind of really made me take it serious and all that shit,
Right,
but it was kind of like a eye-opening experience, like going forward, considering my mental health, like honestly, because
right.
it's like some days I really feel like just dropping everything and fucking not doing shit about nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
some days really just be like that, and
Right,
I think back to surviving some shit like that, and I'm like, bro, I gotta be here for something, like, because even now I look at that shit and I show people that I never seen it before, and they just look at me like wide-eyed, jaw drop, like, "How are you here?" And I'm
right.
like, "I don't fucking know."
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. No, but you know what though? Um, when it's your time, and it wasn't your time. You get what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. Like, listen, it wasn't time for me to get up out of here. I still got shit to do. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I'm
So that's
saying,
how I'm
man.
looking at it. You know what I mean? I still got shit to do. Um, but you touched on a little bit, like that track, I decided to quit rap and become a serial killer. That's really a bold approach because when you look at that, you be like, yo, really? Is that really how you feel? You know what I'm
That's kinda
saying?
what I was
So,
going for,
you know what I mean?
so
So that was
mission
crazy.
accomplished.
And it definitely is dope because we got he had it playing on the radio station, and I know people was tuned in trying to figure out when they popped up on the station, like what's this? Because they could see the name. You know what I'm saying? Like usually when you listen, you don't really know the name of the song when you listen to the radio, but when you go to our website or you go to the app, you gonna see the name and you can be like, yo, what's this about? What other unconventional themes are you exploring in your newer works? Like anything, is that like a not a brand, but more like what I mean, a pathway that you go in to really change up the way your music is delivered? Like, talk to me about that.
I mean, like, I feel like if you're trying to stand out, you shouldn't be rapping about the same bullshit everybody else is rapping about.
Right, right, right.
And if you take it serious, you should be like rapping about something you take serious. Like, that's just how I look at it. Like I'm trying to make some like actual impactful music. Like I ain't trying to just flare up and die out like some of
Right,
these other
right,
rappers do. They get like a TikTok hit and they cool for like, I don't know, a couple months or so, but they can't follow it up. So they just
right.
die out. They
They
fizzle
die
out.
out. Yeah, yeah, I
And
feel you.
like I'm trying to be in here for the long run. So like I'm trying to make shit that'll last, shit that you can listen to like 4 or 5, shit, maybe 10 years later down the line. Like I ain't
Right.
trying to release no bullshit, honestly. And I feel
No,
like,
that's it.
something that if it's gonna and I hate to say it this way, but it's gonna like if it's gonna offend somebody or push somebody's buttons, it's probably like, worth talking about because it bothers people, you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
don't really learn or grow when you're uncomfortable.
man.
So it's
Listen,
like
I tell you like this: if you trigger somebody with your music, you've done your job. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
you know what I mean? You've done your job. First of all, they took the time out to listen because you can't trigger anybody unless they heard you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? That's a fact.
Facts.
You cannot trigger anybody unless they heard you. So, you know what I mean? The fact that they did hear you, like, man, is either is he talking about me or how does he know? You know what I'm saying? If it's if it's somebody that you know, then yeah, they triggered for real because it's personal. But for somebody you don't know that you triggered, you just tapped into, you just let that person know that they wasn't alone. You know what I'm saying? Because it only takes
Exactly.
one. You might have
Exactly.
saved the life. You know what I'm saying? You might have brought somebody to a realization like, yo, I gotta change my shit. You know what I'm saying? So I can definitely hear you on that. You mentioned being inspired by Eminem's business ventures, right? Like
A little bit.
mom spaghetti. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What kind of side businesses are you interested in pursuing it?
Honestly, I haven't really given it much thought. I feel like a restaurant would be cool though. But like I want to run a restaurant that'll be like, like up to code type shit. Like I don't want no corners cut. Like none of like if I'm gonna own something like that, I'm gonna own something like that. And obviously the record label is somewhere down the line in there too. Um, but I think but I don't know. There's a lot of different things you can do with businesses.
Right, right,
I guess I
right,
just like because it'd be like it'd have to be something I'd actually give a shit about first and foremost.
right,
Like
right,
I'm not just gonna like, oh, I'm gonna start a business selling bicycle wheels and absolutely nothing else.
right, right.
Or
No,
some
we ain't doing
shit.
that. You know what I'm saying? I hear you. Yeah. No, no, but I hear you, man. I mean, that's what I'm doing with this, right? So, you know what I mean? I can definitely understand that. Um, what about acting, man? I know you expressed some interest in acting. Like if that's the case, like what types of roles do you think will fit Vayreni?
Bro, honestly, like I feel like I'd be a great insane person or some shit.
Insane
Like
no brain type. Yeah, 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 yeah.
like
Yeah.
like I could do some like ironically I'd probably be like play a serial killer or some shit. Just like something I can get really fucking like deep and introspective with. Like in a way that's not like, "Oh my god, dude, like, tone it the fuck back."
Right, right.
Like, something real, something that feels real.
Yeah, no, no, I hear you. I hear you. And you gotta, you gotta have something that really resonates with, you know what I'm saying? People tap it in. So I'm trying to make sure I respond to them, let them showing love. Yo, shout out to the people showing love, especially on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you on that. Um, you gotta be able to really tap in to um the people that I mean the roles that you really, you know what I mean, that really resonate with you. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
that'll be dope. You know what I mean? So um how has your relationship with hip hop evolved since those early days of listening to your father's MP3 player?
You know, it's definitely grown. It's definitely grown. I listen to, like, rock and, like, all type of other genres and, like, R&B and shit like that, but hip hop has always just held a special place in my heart, and it
Right,
really has only grown. Like, and it was like it's so weird because it's like I started out listening to all these like older artists and stuff like that from the early 2000s and the late 90s and stuff like that. And then like as I
right,
got older, you had that like 2010s era where it was like kind of like Waka Flocka was coming out. Kanye
right,
had just
right,
dropped like Graduation, or maybe it was 808s of Heartbreak, something like that. And
right,
you got like all this new experimental shit coming out that was just kind of like a almost like a fusion with like it was almost like a that period where it was like pop and hip hop were like this.
right,
Like it's kind of like that nowadays too, but like it just had its own like kind of sound to it. And then
right.
like I feel like I wanna say, like, 2012, 2013, and, like, up to, like, 2020 was, like, that whole SoundCloud wave, and, like, when I was in high school, that's what like, a lot of what I used to listen to, because like, you stupid high school kid, you like, "Oh, everybody's listening to this, let me tap in," and some shit,
Right,
and then,
right.
sometimes I found a lot of those artists before they even got, like, super big, and then, like, I was sitting there listening to them and people laughing at me, I'm like, "Alright, we gonna see about that one."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then sure enough, later down the line, there they are listening to the shit.
Right, right.
And then I kinda got to this point where, like, the modern industry, I was like, I just kinda see some of the shit they do, and I'm like, "Bro, what the hell is this? Like,
Right.
why are we allowing this in hip hop? Like, go slap some other genre on that shit, because it's
Right.
not I don't know what the hell you think this is, but it's not like hip hop rap. It's trash, like
Right, 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 right. Let me rewind back to gray area. Like when you play that 12 track record, like what do you feel like is your what are your favorite tracks off of there?
Mm. Well, there's I've decided that's kinda like my personal favorite.
Right,
6 Feet a lot of people really like 6 Feet Deep. That was a track I released before the album came out. Right behind I've Decided, though, I really fuck with Raindrops. That's, like, my low key personal favorite aside
yeah,
from, but and honestly, my boy Ty went crazy on Deadheads.
yeah, yeah.
Like, I tell people, like, "Bro, honestly, forget my verse, this is Ty's song, like, you can have that shit, bro, you earned it."
You know what I mean? You always got that one that come with that fire, you know what I'm saying? So,
Damn right.
you know what I mean? Um, how do you maintain your creative drive during challenging periods? Because you've had some times where you feel like you've been beaten down for so long, you know what I'm saying? So how do you maintain?
Honestly, my biggest thing is I don't force it. I got this idea of like I got two modes. I got autopilot mode and I got creative mode. And
Right.
when I'm in like autopilot mode is when I'm kind of like just doing day-to-day life shit, going to work, trials and tribulations, all that, whatever you want to call it. And then and it's not like I have a set time it kind of just like happens. Like when I feel like, all right, I gotta write some shit. I got something to say. I just kind of flip into this creative mode where I'll like, excuse me, I kind of just like lock in on like what I'm really trying to do.
Right.
And it's crazy because like when I do that, I can finish writing a song in like 10, 15, 20 minutes
Right.
and like have it be done like that. Sometimes I even finish the lyrics before the dude making the beat finishes the beat. But the last song I did, I was doing it with Osiris. I had the lyrics done for that shit before he was even done with the beat.
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it's
That's
just
what's up.
like when the inspiration hits, you just know. And that's kind of like 'cause I ain't trying to oversaturate shit. I ain't trying to
Right.
like pump out a bunch of bullshit ass tracks. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And I believe me, I got plenty of those I could put out right now, but it's
Right.
just not release ready. It's not release appropriate. So
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back at your journey from Currituck County to where you are now, like what advice would you give to other artists from small towns?
honestly, I would say get out your comfort zone. Like if you in the same area for a long period of time, you keep talking to the same people over and over and over again when you could be interacting with new faces.
Right.
It's like, you know, it's not like a small business where you can like, live off the local population to like, come shop at your store or whatever.
Right.
It's
Right.
like it's deeper than that because you got to make connections with people that you ain't even met before.
Right.
And to me, that's the most difficult part is trying to like connect to people because like I'm real weird about like coming off as genuine as possible. And if I feel like if I feel like I'm doing nothing wrong, but for some reason I get this odd feeling like I'm putting somebody off, it just like it makes me feel uneasy. You know what I mean?
Right, right. No, I hear you. You get what I'm saying? Like, networking is required in this business, but it's really hard to find the people, that you resonate with because you have to kind of weed yourself through a whole bunch of other people just to get to the people that you really want to mess with, you know what I'm saying, or whether want to do business or whatever, because there's really got to be a vibe or some type of real relationship with them, you know what I'm saying? And then you got
Right.
to build it and nourish it and all that. So, I mean, it takes work. I think anything that you want to accomplish takes work. Networking takes work, man. That's why it's working at the end of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes definitely work. Um, Listen, man. I appreciate you, taking the time out with us. We on Instagram right now. So how can he get to your Instagram? What I mean? Tell Facebook people, YouTube people how they can get a hold of you as well.
So if you go on Instagram and type in Vayreni underscore underscore, so Vayreni underscore underscore, you're gonna see this pop up, this little cover art right here. You're gonna see it
Right,
pop up. It's gonna
right.
be probably the first one you see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, man. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody out there?
Man, I always gotta shout out Osiris because he kills it on the production. He makes the best beats, bro. He makes the best beats, honestly.
Yeah,
You know, shout out TC versus Chance for helping me
yeah,
push the album and shit.
yeah,
She the
yeah,
goat for real. She the goat for
yeah.
real.
Definitely shout out to her. You know what I mean? She be sending you my way and all that. You know what I'm saying? She be sending me the dope artists. You know what I mean? Shout out to Swimming with Sharks. You know what I
And she
mean? Out
she's
there.
just she just cool with everybody, man.
Right, right,
Honestly,
right.
all them shows and shit that she be putting on, good spirited.
Yeah,
Fuck with it.
definitely a grinder. You know what I'm saying? Um,
So,
Again, we appreciate you taking the time out. Shout out to everybody that tuned in on Instagram. I see you and greatly appreciate you as well. And we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your night, my G.
alrighty, man. Peace.
All right.